Yes, please, we can continue.
Okay, so as I was saying, when it comes to reviewing a theory, we want to see on what grounds are these theories propounded? What is their relevance to your work? And I've stated from the beginning that reviewing a theory is necessary because we need to find that disconnect between the theoretical assumptions of the proponent, those that proposed the theory. What were their assumptions? And in application, what are others doing with the theory? So a practical example can be if you take the technological acceptance model. It will be a surprise to you to see the number of people who still hold on to the first term model that have been propounded, which talks about the rate at which people accept to use technology depends on some factors, and those factors talk about how useful they see the technology and how easily they can use the technology. But is it the case that when we are going about to see the extent to which people accept to use technology, is it based on those two things? So if it is based on other things, then it means that there have been modifications to this term that we are talking, the technology acceptance model. And if what the theory says is not what is being practicalized, then it means that there is a disconnect between the theory and its implementation. So we review this theory, which is relevant to your study, to see what is this disconnect and how you can bridge this gap. The same time I'm talking about, there have been modifications all over the years, of which it is no longer based on the usefulness and the ease of use. This time around, you will see they talking about the image, how relevant technology is to the people's work, the output quality, and then the result that they get when using technology. All these things influence the extent to which they accept to use the technology you are introducing. So if things like this happen, then it means that you cannot go around still writing about the old versions of the theory. This should guide your study. So this is one major reason that's why we review theories. Again, what is the relevance or the application of the theory to your study? If you are working on teaching and learning, where we need learning theories, and your theory or model you are using for your study is technology acceptance model, how is that related to how students learn without technology? So you see that at that instance, your theory is not relevant to your work. Again, look for past studies that have used the theory. How were they applied? How are the theories applied? Such as I was making the example for the technological acceptance model. You clearly see that some have applied only the 3 original constructs in the model. Others have applied about 6 different constructs. So when you try as much as possible to bring all these past studies together, then you critique on what basis have they applied the theories. How can your work also contribute to this theory's development? Are you just adopting it or you are adapting it for your use? When you are adapting it, what modifications are you making to it? And when you are adopting it, what is the justification for adopting it holistically without making any modifications? So this is why or how we review theories when it comes to thesis writing. Again, the next thing we will see in our literature review is the review on concepts. Concepts are very important to be reviewed on because they form the basis of understanding of your whole research problem. Let's not forget that after getting a research problem, we have a research topic. And in that topic, we put words together to form the topic. And those words have meanings. They are in research terms, they are called variables. Those variables have meanings. They have conceptualizations. So as you are reviewing them one by one, how are you conceptualizing it? If you take a meaning from ATA A, ATA B, ATA C, you will see that there are some variations in the way they explain a particular variable. Now, to you, the researcher, how do you bring all these three narrations or explanations to focus or to guide the focus of your work? So with the example that we are working with, when you are doing conceptual review, we are looking for key factors, as I have said. Again, we are also looking for concepts or variables that is in the problem, and what are the presumed relationship between the variables. Some variables or some research have to do with relationship. Some is just descriptive, so you don't look at the relationship. All you do is to explain, conceptualize the variables and go your way. Again, we do conceptual review because we want to understand the basic issues about your research. And what are these basic issues? I'm coming. These basic issues, examples are inconsistent findings. So on social media and mental health, what are the findings on social media and mental health? You will see a finding like, oh, social media positively influences adolescent mental health. You also see another article or literature saying social media negatively influences adolescent mental health. You can also see a literature what that is saying that social media has no influence at all on adolescent mental health. So in these inconsistent findings, you are trying to situate your work so that you can find gaps in these findings that will help you continue with your research. Also, we do a conceptual review because of rival explanations. If I say rival explanation, I'm talking about the same social media. Someone explains it in a different way. Another person says, no, we have to define social media in this way. Then the third person also says, no, the two of you are wrong. Let's define social media in this way. So if you see all these explanations, to you, the researcher, after going through these three explanations or four explanations, how do you conceptualize the meaning of social media in your work? Let's not forget that the reason why we are trying to review the literature is to look for relevant literature to support our work. So all these relevant literatures we are talking about are now giving you explanations or definitions that are different. How do you, as the researcher, conceptualize these explanations so that your readers know that, okay, as for this guy's work, when you pick social media, this is what he is saying. Or when you pick mental health of adolescents, this is what he is saying. So that is one reason why we do conceptual review. Sometimes you will see people do literature review, about 30, 45 pages, but all they do is to copy other people's works and line them up in those pages. You cannot see even 1% of their voices in the review. That is the purpose of today's lecture. You don't just have to copy and paste people's articles, definition, explanation. After you have copied and pasted, paraphrased, how do you yourself conceptualize the meaning of the topic you are working on? Again, we do conceptual review because of contradictory predictions in the same as inconsistencies. So if we are talking about males and females, then we say social media affect males more than females. Another person also found that social media affect females more than males. These two things are two contradictory predictions or findings. So you as the researcher, this gives you a chance or an opportunity so that you can be able to also conduct a study in that regard and see in your setting, how is social media impacting males and females' mental health? So everything that we are doing, we are trying as much as possible to punch gaps in the available literature that are relevant to our work. Finally, with the example that we are working on, effects of social media on mental health, you will see that you can review concepts on social media and anxiety. Anxiety in this case is not out of context because anxiety deals with mental health. Mental health is a broad area. Those that are in that aspect will tell you that mental health is a broad area and anxiety is one of it. So you can review literature on social media and mental health. What is past research saying? What relationships are being established between social media and anxiety? How do you conceptualize it in your own way? Another concept you can review is social media and stress. So all these 5 concepts I have here, depending on what you are working on, your conceptual review will always be different. When I am in mass education, I am doing a research. Another person is also in mass education doing a research. Don't forget that we are working on different problems. And since we are working on different problems, our conceptual reviews will not have the same subsections because the problem we are tackling are all different. So that's how we do a conceptual review. So the work that I have put here as an instance, the DOI I have provided here, you can copy this DOI, paste it in your browser, and this browser will take you straight, this DOI will take you straight to the article if you're interested in the topic or the problem. It will take you straight to the article and you can read how the issues are addressed in that article. Again, the last part of the literature review that we will do in our thesis is the empirical review, and this is where the main issue is. Now, why do we do empirical review? We do empirical review to see which articles have addressed our purpose. How many have addressed our purpose? What is the quality of the article that have addressed our purpose, and what is the relevance of it? So you might see a work that have been done on social media and mental health. Sometimes you might go into this article, you will see that it is not even addressing your area that you are going. So some of these works are not relevant. So in reviewing articles empirically, one, you have to state the purpose of the article, how it aligns with your purpose, and 2, what methodologies were used. You know, when it comes to methodologies, there are a lot. From the paradigm, from the approach, from the design, the data collection procedures, the data, the sampling and sampling technique, the analysis. You will see a research where someone have used a design that allowed the person to collect quantitative data, which is related to your work. And you look at this quantitative data and you ask yourself, what is the depth of information that have been extracted using the quantitative data? Since this person has done this quantitatively, let me see, when I use the qualitative approach, how am I going to, what kind of results am I going to get on the same issue we are trying to address? So while reviewing empirical literature, try to bring to light the methodologies used by the articles you are citing. Again, we want to look at the findings after they address their purpose with the methodology. What were their findings? Now, this is important because after our analysis and results, we have to come back to these findings and see, are our findings the same or similar to what we have reviewed, or our findings are contradicting what we have reviewed. If they are similar or they are contradicting, what could be the reason? So purposely for empirical review, you don't just review and leave them in your work. You have to review so that you will compare your results to the empirical reviews and see the length and breadth of their contribution to your results. So in a nutshell, when you pick an article, what was the purpose of the article? What methodologies have been explored? And what are the findings? You can even go further and look at what conclusions and recommendations have been drawn. Because when you are looking at the methodology, especially and the findings, this gives you more insight into what gap am I coming out with. Because I said from the beginning that whatever you have done, someone else have done it before. But you are trying as much as possible to see what gap can you find in this person's work that will provide a pathway or gateway for my research to be relevant. Because if someone has done it before, why am I also doing it? That is the question. Why am I also doing it? If I do it the same way, is it the same result I'm going to get? Then what knowledge have I added to literature? What new knowledge have I come out with? If we cannot situate these things, then it means that there is a problem somewhere. Okay, so when you pick an article, what purpose is article 7 in relation to your study? What methodologies were used? What were their findings? Now, the bigger question, how should I review the literature? So you have a nice concept, a nice problem. Then everything you hear is go and read, go and read. You are reading, but you are not getting anything. This problem normally comes when your mentors or supervisors are telling you, you don't have a problem. The problem you are working on, we say the research topic you are working on, there is no problem with it. Then you say, I have read 20 articles, 30 articles. But then, as you are reading those articles, how best should you review literature on those articles so that you can situate and be able to find gaps in those articles that you are reading, that to form a basis or foundation for your work? One. So this diagram shows us a circular basis of how to review literature. We will take it one by one. First of all, I have put here literature in capital letters before you even go to the research problem. That should tell us that before you even come out with a research problem, you should have read some literature that will form as a base or foundation for which your research problem should be relevant to be explored. Now, after we have gotten our research problem, we have to find, what are we finding? We are finding articles that are relevant to our research problem. Articles that are speaking to the issues that we are trying to solve. Not any article that is going to tell us maybe it is not even related to what you are doing. And we see sometimes they tell you, oh, this your paragraph has no bearing on your topic. These are some of the reasons. Because the article you have found and was trying to get information from it is not that much relevant to your research problem. So sometimes we have some search engines that you can use to find relevant literature. I know some of us know a lot, but I'll just mention one. Connected papers. So when you use connected papers and you search for your research problem, it draws a graph that shows you the relevance of other research papers to what you are searching for. And it comes with a year. So you see the most current ones, the ones after, before the most current ones, and the oldest. And the far apart the article you are looking, the articles, your problem you have found, the far apart an article is related to, it should tell you that these two articles are not that much relating. The proximity is too far. So, yes, you had connected papers. Okay, the proximity is too far. So you have to get articles that are relevant to your work. Again, after finding those articles, how do you evaluate? How do you evaluate? Okay, we'll answer those questions, please. You can put the questions down. Later on, we'll answer the question, whether it's an application or something. Okay, so you put your questions down. How do you evaluate these articles? We look at the relevance, the reliability, and the validity of these articles. How closely related are these articles to my problem? How can I get enough information? And that information should be reliable. So we say the quality of the information. How reliable is that information I am getting to support my research problem from that article? After the evaluation, you have to organize the articles, because you cannot tell me that as you are downloading, you only downloaded one article for your research problem. No, no one can do that. It means that you are going to copy and paste someone's work just like that. People go as far as getting more than 15 articles for their research problems. And when you have these 15 articles, how do you evaluate? How do you organize them so that it can be relevant to what you are doing? One, I will give some 3 ways that you can do them, and later you can read on them better. Some people use this Mendeley. Yes, they use Mendeley for organizing research papers. But the most current ones that, the common one that almost all of us use is the annotated bibliography. So the annotated bibliography, it comes with a template. Okay, if after the presentation you want to look at how annotated bibliography works or looks like, I can send you you just DM me, I'll send you a template. It comes with a template, the name of the paper, the authors, the year, the purpose that it is serving, the research objectives, questions or hypotheses, the methodologies, kind of analysis, findings, recommendations, and the gap. So as you take one article, then you are trying to extract all this information from it. By the time you are done with all the articles you have, it should tell you this article is closer or relevant to what my problem. This is somehow not related to my problem, so let me shift it down. So the moment you are doing all this, you are trying to review literature, not just by cutting and pasting or copy and pasting. Here you are organizing your research papers as how they are relevant to your work. Another one you can use is a literature matrix. It also works like the annotated bibliography. And then we have reference management softwares. One of the reference management softwares that Mendeley I spoke about. Another one is Zotero. We have LaTeX. We have, Lateral. There are a lot of AI research reference management softwares, and how to use them, you have to go and read more. After organizing, you have to analyze the information. While analyzing the information, you look for 2 things. What are the main arguments in this information or articles that you have read? Because by the time you organize, you should have a clear picture of what each article means or is saying to your work. How related is it to my work? Now, all those that are related to my work, how relevant? What are the main arguments that they are all talking about? Where are they similar? Where are they different? When it comes to methodology, what is the similarity in their methodologies? What is the difference in their methodologies? So you try to analyze and then push all articles. When you look at the systematic review table I showed, you will see that on one topic, the author is trying to analyze articles based on the methodology that have been used. So we have the qualitative, quantitative, and the mixed methods. So if you take all the articles and the qualitative, every work they have done on your problem, you will see the form of qualitative work they have done. All those that have worked on quantitative, you see the form of quantitative work they have done. This gives you much insight into finding gaps in some of these articles. So you see the way the systematic review was done. You can do it for pleasure, not for publication. You can download 30, 40 articles and try to systematically analyze them based on methodology, based on purpose, based on relevancy, a lot of things. All this is just trying to tell you that I am trying to make myself comfortable when it comes to reviewing or writing on my research problem. What most of us do, we download one article, read, copy, paste. When we have exhausted it, then we push it somewhere. Then we download another article, copy, paste. No, you will send it, you will come back. Because you have not critically analyzed how relevant these articles are to your work. And all these articles you are getting, there are information in them, and the information should be reliable and valid towards what you are doing. The last thing you do in literature review is to synthesize. So with the synthesis, what are the common themes? So the analysis, you look at the argument and the methodology, the relevance to it. Now you synthesize based on what common themes or patterns are these works following. You pick 5 articles. What are their findings? What is the similarity in these people's findings? Then you group them. This will help you to do an in-depth, proper report on these articles. Because if not so, or you will just be all over the place. I'm telling you, you will be all over the place. And after you have done all those things, you can now do your main literature review. And let's not forget that the main literature review is always on the research problem. So at the end of the day, I did not make it a linear model. I made it a cyclical model because it does not stop until you submit or publish your research work. So this is how we review literature. Then there are some common mistakes that we do in the review. One that I've spoken about is a copy and paste. So my lecturer will say cut and paste without plastering. Yes. The first one is there is lack of clear research objective. So you have a problem about social media and mental health. Then without any research objective, you are looking for literature on it. Then you see, you will just be all over the place, writing on this, writing on that, writing on this, writing on that. The one who is reading cannot even find a pathway to where your literature or where your writing is going to. They cannot. So to avoid this, before we even start searching for literature, let's make sure we have what? Clear-cut objectives that will direct us to the kind of article that we need and the kind of article we don't need. Again, there are incomplete or biased search strategy. So I am working on a problem. Then all of a sudden, I go to Google, then I type there. Any information I get from there, that is the end. Come on. There are ways to get quality information from articles or quality articles that will support your work. So you don't do incomplete search. You are working on social media and mental health, and the only thing you are searching on is what is social media? What is social media? At the end of the day, you will get articles that have worked on social media and academic performance. If you don't take care, you will be writing on how social media affects academic performance, not how social media affects mental health. Even though you are writing on social media, but the direction it is going is not what you want to write. It means that you have done an incomplete search for information. So when we are searching for information, we have the Google Scholar, we have the Scopus journals. There are a lot of journals that are Scopus journals. You see, Scopus journals are high-ranked journals that are situated in a position that any article that is published in those journals are highly prioritized. They are quality articles that you can get. So we have some journals that fall under Scopus journals. Please, you can Google Scopus journals and get all those journals. Go into the journals, register, log in, and have access to those journals. Even UCC Library has that off-campus access that will give you access to some of the journals. Journal like Sage publication. Sage publication, when you want to access it on your own, you cannot unless the school allows you to do that. So it means that we have a lot of opportunity to get quality information, but we are not making use of them. Another one to avoid is the lack of quality assessment. So as I have said, you search for a truncated information, social media. Then they gave you social media and academic performance, social media and job relevance, and all this. Without a quality assessment of the information you need that is relating to your research problem, you will be writing different things in your literature review. Again, you fail to synthesize the literature. We've spoken about what literature synthesis is. When you don't do it well, you end up not giving a very good information to your readers. Then there is poor organization. You are not taking your time. A study that have been done using qualitative, you are using it to contradict quantitative. We do all these things. Sometimes just take an article, read, then they will cite some things in it. Go to that page, you will see that what they are citing does not exist. I had an experience recently. I was looking for an information to back a claim. Then when I went on Google, they wrote it there nicely, the person's name, the book. Then they gave me a page number. I went to search for the book. When I went to the page number that they gave to me, all the items on that page number does not even relate to what I am searching for. I have to go back to the content and determine the exact page number that I can get that information. And I got it. Some of us are like this. We take the information, oh, page 64, then we put it there, bang. Oh, page 20, when we put it there, don't forget that those that assess and read your work critically or review your work, they sometimes follow these citations. And lo and behold, if your citation does not go with what you have there, it means you have done an improper literature review. Again, there is lack of critical analysis. So you are not aware of the main arguments they are raising. Then there is this example. Students were supposed to defend their thesis. So a student came and cited one man on the panel. Oh, so and so said this, blah, 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 blah. And the man said, me? But say yes. Yes, not to the me. Yes to the information he has put in the literature review. And the man said, do you know who worked on that problem? Then he mentioned the person. Do you know the person by face? Then the student said, no. He said, I am the one. I have not said what you are putting in your work. So it means that you are misinterpreting and misquoting me. There and there, the audience will know that you have not done a proper analysis of whatever you are putting there. Let's not just go and pick information and come and dump it. let's analyze. Let's do a quality assessment. Let's synthesize and organize well our articles and information that we are getting so that we can write a proper literature review. And all these things I'm talking about does not relate to only the theoretical review, only the conceptual review, or only the empirical review. It cuts across even from your background of the study. Then there is inaccurate or incomplete referencing. That's the example I just gave. And let me take these 5 minutes to talk about the references. UCC has a referencing style. That is the APA, 6th edition. I'm not sure if they have moved to the 7th edition yet. So don't just go and copy someone's work and come and dump it, and there are 5 people, then you cite only 2 people and leave. When this information is, they want to prove whether you are right or not, they can go and search for these people. At the end of the day, you would have done an incomplete referencing. Let's always take our time. Who are the writers of this article? Sometimes you will see that this is a strategy students use. So the work is conducted in 2022. And in that article, the author cited someone in 1994. And when you bring it, your supervisor tell you, oh, that referencing is archaic, it's too old. Then you go and change the 1994 and put in the one from whose work you have copied that referencing, put in the name of the person there. It means that is inaccurate. Okay, so let's desist from some of those things so that we can do a proper quality literature review. Thank you for your time, and sorry for my network issues. I'm sure it's the beginning was very rough, and sorry for the hijacking the link where we have to get a new link. We are now open for questions and answers. Host, thank you also.
Thank you very much, Mr. Christian. So we will be taking a few questions. So we will take the first set of 4. If you have a question, you raise up your hand. And okay. So Mr. Gabriel, you can go on.
All right. Good evening. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Presenter, for such an insightful work. Interesting points have been made. However, at my end, due to the challenges, the breakages, I couldn't get a smooth flow of everything. So I'm requesting if we can get the slides and possibly if we can get the recording. I believe it will go a long way to help us to be able to put the pieces together. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Gabriel. The slides and the recording will be made available after the sorry, after. Mr. Lemby, kindly action.
Good evening and thanks for the opportunity. So mine has to do with the connected papers. Is it an app or is it a database that we can easily get access to?
Okay, Mr. Lemby, thank you very much.
Yeah, I thought you would take other questions first. Or I can attend to him.
I think there is no hand raised again. So
okay,
you can answer.
So the connected papers is a database, just as Google Scholar. So what connected papers do is that when you search on your research program, clearly defined research program, it will bring you all relevant research articles or research works that have been done in that regard. So any research article that you select, it will draw a graph that will show the number of articles that have been done in this year, maybe 2022, 2023, 2019, it will show you all those articles and how relevant they are to your problem. Okay, so it's a website database, not an app.
Okay, I hope your question has been answered.
What
Mr.
about
Thomas.
accessibility? Do you have free
Sorry.
access?
Kindly come again.
Yes, yes, you have free access to it. All you need is to register, that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Thomas Obo. Hello, Thomas Obo. If you can hear me, you can go on with your question.
Yes, okay. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you, Mr. Presenter. I'm Obo, and what I also want to inquire. Yes, you've tried us to this from 40. You didn't show us an example of such. So how do we even know that what we are doing is? So we get to the panel and then we realize we are making a lot of mistakes. So
Please
I am thinking
your
next
question.
time if the opportunity is being given, at least show us.
Hello, Mr. Obo. Hello, Mr. Obo, can you hear me?
41s. Yes.
Please,
Yes, I
I
can.
think you have a bit of issue with your connection. So if you can ask the question again.
Okay.
I didn't get you very well. Hello, Mr. Obo.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Christian. I think Mr. Obo has an issue. So
yeah, someone asked me to restate the website changing. Is connected papers. Connected papers. So I want to show my screen and you see how it works. Good. Please, can you see my screen now? So
yes,
this is the website, connected papers. So when you go to the left-hand side, you see connected papers. It helps you build a graph, and these are examples of graphs that it helps you build. So if you come to the search engine, the search space, and you are searching for social media and mental health. So social media and mental health, and I click build. So these are all the articles that they will bring on social media and mental health. So this is the current one, 2022. So when you click on this 2022, so these are some of the issues. We couldn't find enough papers to create a graph. So when you look at that, you see that this one has only one reference. Let's look at one that has a lot of citations. Good. So the one done by Goodings and Tucker. When you click on this, this will show you all the articles. You see, you have selected Goodings and Tucker 2018. Then it will show you all articles that have connections to what you have clicked on. As far as back as 2021, Paris, it will tell you this is what social media and well-being, so and so perspective. Then the abstract shows. So when you click on this, you will see that there is an abstract. After going through the abstract, does this have any relevance to your work? If it has relevance, we have spaces here that you can open the graph, open in PDF, Semantic Scholar, the DOI, or the Google Scholar. So when you click on Google Scholar, this can take you straight to the Google Scholar so that you download the article, or when it is downloadable, you only click on the PDF and get it yourself. Based on that same thing, there is another work, Mascara 2018. Now see, what is the topic of Mascara's work? The economic effect of Facebook. But when you see the link between Mascara and your work, they have no link in connection, even though Facebook is something about social media. But does it have anything on mental health? No. So you will not see even any line being drawn to your work. It means that Mascara's work is on social media, a specific type of social media, but Facebook, and not related to mental health. Let's look at that of Golin. Golin, the effect of broadband internet on the gender gap in mental health. So you look at broadband internet. What has broadband got to do with social media? You see mental health there. That is why they brought. So if you need any information on mental health relating to internet usage, you see, you get it in Golin's work. But how it relates to social media, you will not get it. So we have people that will go into this Golin's work, and anything on mental health, they copy it and come. Anything on, mental health, they copy it and come and dump it in their research, forgetting that it has nothing to do with social media. Okay, so you could see the stronger the line, the more relevant your work is to what you are looking for. So this is just a small display of how the the connected papers works. There are a lot of databases. Until you go and read and explore, you will not see them as how they work. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Christian. Are there more questions? If you have any question, kindly raise your hand. So if there are more questions, Mr. Ernest will say something. We will end.
Okay. I believe since we have like 43 participants on the meeting, I'm very sure that you still have some questions to ask, or you still need some clarification. So we expect you to be asking questions. Okay. Okay, so Matthias Mawuli, you can ask your question.
All right, thank you.
Hello, Matthias, your network is not.
So the conceptual review, I mean, is it also something that you have to actually review, or we just have to have a conceptual framework based on the theoretical and empirical review or something? Can you go straight ahead and just have a conceptual framework that will explain connect the dots as far as the empirical review and and the theoretical review are concerned. I want to be very clear about that. Thank you.
Okay, Matthias, please can you repeat your question, because initially we were having troubles hearing you because of your network.
Okay, thank you. So I was saying that he spoke about conceptual review.
Okay.
But I want him to clarify more whether we can just go ahead with theoretical review and empirical review, and when it gets to conceptual review, the only thing you will do there is to have a conceptual framework that will actually explain how you are going to go. I mean, how the objectives are or whatever are linked to your, like how the theoretical review is linked to the empirical review and all those things. Or you have to, because he said that is where your voice has to be heard. So I want a clarification on that, whether the conceptual review is only about the conceptual framework or you actually have to do some review there again. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Mawuli, I want to help you on that. Conceptual review, as he already talked about, has to do with the review of concept. In other words, explanation of the concept in your work. For instance, you are dealing with absenteeism. In conceptual review, we expect you to give us explanation of absenteeism, the concept of absenteeism. What does it mean? So the various explanations and the types, if there are types, you explain them and then you give us a clear conceptualization of what you mean by absenteeism. Then you are doing a conceptual review. But we can also have a conceptual framework. You see, usually we used to draw, you go to Viva or you go to proposal defense, you see people drawing diagrams and labeling them conceptual framework. Matthias Mawuli, I want to clarify this. If you see a conceptual framework in somebody's work, you have to assume that the person is trying to test hypothesis. That is, the person is trying to give us how the variables within his study relate to each other, affect each other, will affect each other. So if there is a conceptual review, the conceptual framework, then we expect a hypothesis. Okay, so the research objectives or the variable within the research, how they relate to each other, how they will influence each other in the work is what we term as conceptual framework. And you cannot do that without giving us a hypothesis, a guess about the assumed relationships between the variables, right? Okay, so let's assume we have absenteeism and academic performance. So we can hypothesize that students who come to school every day, punctuality, students who are punctual would perform well in mathematics exams. So we lead punctuality, and then you see a link between punctuality and academic performance. That is a hypothesis explaining that when you have students who come to school every day will definitely perform better than students who don't come to school every day. Well, the presentation didn't talk much about conceptual framework. We would have given you examples of or an illustration of how conceptual frameworks work and tell you how the hypothesis within the conceptual framework works. But sorry, I don't know if we can have, because the issue of conceptual framework is a topic on its own that we need to discuss. So Matthias Mawuli, I don't know if you hear me. I think conceptual frameworks are not compulsory, but conceptual reviews are compulsory. And I'm saying again that when you bring a conceptual review framework, then it means you want to test a hypothesis. And the framework, which is a diagram, tells us the relationship between the variables, how one variable would affect the other, how one variable will influence the other. And that is what we mean by a conceptual framework. So conceptual framework are not compulsory. They are only compulsory when you want to hypothesize. You hypothesize the relationship between the variables within your research. Let's say the relationship between academic performance and punctuality, or the relationship between punctuality and academic performance. or relationship between absenteeism and academic performance. In this case, we expect you to give us a diagram and show us how these variables link to each other. Okay, without that, we don't expect you to bring conceptual framework when you don't have any hypothesis in your work. If your work is purely descriptive, you wouldn't need any conceptual framework. But for conceptual review, every study must have one, because that is where you explain the concept within your topic or your work. Hello, Matthias. Can you? Hello. Okay, so before you can talk.
All right. Thank you, Doc. So I'd like to know, is it always the case where conceptual frameworks are used to hypothesize? Or there are
Please, can you amplify your voice?
I would like to know if it is always the case where conceptual frameworks are used to hypothesize, or there are frameworks that do not hypothesize.
Okay. So then he is asking whether conceptual frameworks are always used to form hypotheses. Yes, of course, conceptual frameworks should tell us the relationship between. So as I was saying, if you don't intend to hypothesize, we don't see the need for a conceptual framework. Okay, so even when you adopt a conceptual framework, then it means that the hypothesis or the assumptions of that conceptual framework you have adopted will be tested in your study. So you have to use a conceptual framework for hypothesis, for the sake of hypothesis. If there are no hypotheses, or if you don't intend to hypothesize in your work, then we don't see the need for conceptual frameworks, because you are not telling us that your variables one variable will affect the other or influence the other. Okay, I don't know if I'm answered, Bafo. Okay, Bafo, do you want to talk?
Yes. So
Okay.
we are made to believe that conceptual frameworks are from student to diagrams. But then I want to know, are there studies that comes with their own conceptual frameworks?
Okay, there are so many studies that have conceptual frameworks, but normally we term those as theoretical frameworks. The moment, no, you need to understand that the moment you build a conceptual framework, it is an assumption that this will affect this will affect that. So at the end of the day, when you test your model and your model is right, you can use that as a basis to develop your new theory or a theoretical framework. So you can have a work that has a framework, but in that case, we will consider that as a theoretical framework when you want to adopt it, because that person has developed a model and have tested the model, and the model is saying that this variable will affect the other one. So it is a theory. If you want to adopt that into your work, then we are saying you are adopting, let's say, a theory. So conceptual models and theoretical frameworks are almost the same. They are the same. But it is a conceptual framework when it is from your own development, your own creation. Okay. So when you are creating a model, we term that as a conceptual model. But at the end of the day, you have to theorize your model after you have tested it in your work. You theorize it, and at the end of the day, you can call it a theory. You can build a theory out of that, because you have made us known that this can influence this, and if this influences, this will happen. So you can use a conceptual framework within your work, which you have developed, to form a theory. So there are so many ways that have conceptual framework, and when you want to adopt them, then you are adopting those frameworks as a theoretical framework. Okay, so set. But if you are done, let's move to Lemti. Lemti, can you speak? Okay, Wahab. Okay, Wahab, unmute your.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Please, I wanted to find out if there are peculiar websites meant for literature review, or you just have to be around.
Wahab, please hold on. Let's address Lemdi's on and then come back to you.
All right.
Come again. Lemdi, please come again.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity. So I'm getting a bit confused there. Can you practicalize the difference between the theoretical review and the conceptual review? Can you throw more light on that for us? Yes.
Okay. Theories are proposed assumptions by scholars. Okay. A certain scholar is saying that for he has conducted a research and then came with a theory based on a model he developed. And at the end of the day, the person is saying that when teachers have knowledge or when teachers appreciate the usefulness of computers or the usefulness of technology, they are more likely to integrate it into their teaching and learning. Okay, if teachers have knowledge, if they appreciate the usefulness of computer, they are more likely to incorporate it in their teaching and learning. And he has named it the term technology acceptance model. So that is a theory. We consider that as a theory. So you want to conduct a similar study, and you want to conduct that based on what someone has hypothesized, okay, based on what the term model is saying, that when this person has more knowledge, appreciate the usefulness of computers, he is more likely to use it in whatever work he's doing. So this is a theory. So theories are propositions by scholars. They are assumptions by scholars that you want to conduct your study in line with that. But conceptual review are just explanation of the broad area you are investigating. You are investigating teacher education. So at the conceptual, let me use this literal word. It is just like a definition of terms. So conceptual review is about the concept you are conducting your study on. Teacher education. What is teacher education? Give us the meaning of teacher education at the conceptual review session. You are reviewing the meaning of teacher education so that we understand what you mean by teacher education. If there are types of teacher education or probably factors that influence teacher education, let's assume so. You explain all these things for us to understand. So conceptual review are just definition of concepts related to your work, related to the topic you are conducting your study on. So you are conducting a study on absenteeism. What is absenteeism? What are the effects of absenteeism? You are giving us an explanation of those in the conceptual review session. Okay, so let's take another topic. You want to conduct a study on exclusive breastfeeding. Let's go into the sciences. So at the conceptual review session, you make us understand what exclusive breastfeeding is. What are the types of exclusive breastfeeding? What are the principles of exclusive breastfeeding? You give us the explanations, the conceptualizations of exclusive breastfeeding at the conceptual review session. So the conceptual review talks about the broad area you are investigating, the broad topic you are investigating, the explanations you give to the terms within the topic. But theoretical reviews are just a review of theories that underpins your work. The theories that gives an explanation to the findings, the expected findings you can get in your study. Okay, so as I use the term model, so we expect that if the term model is saying that teachers with knowledge, teachers who appreciate the essence of computers are more likely to use computers in their workplaces, are more likely to use their computers in teaching and learning, because there are some teachers who don't even see the need for ICT mediated instruction. So such teachers, there is a likelihood that they may not use the, computers in their teaching. And if you use the TAM model, then your research question will be in line with the tenets of the TAM model. What are teachers' perceived usefulness? What are teachers' perception about the usefulness of what? Computers. What are the teachers' knowledge level as far as technology is concerned? So at the end of the day, your conclusion will be in line with the theory. So the theory is saying that since they don't have knowledge, they won't implement. At the end of the day, your findings should either confirm the theory or disconfirm the theory. Probably your finding says that though the teachers do not have enough knowledge of computers, they are implementing it. They are incorporating a lot of technological devices in their teaching and learning. So you can also build a theory from there that, well, TAM is saying that when you have more knowledge, you are more likely to incorporate it in your teaching and learning. But I have found some teachers who don't have so much knowledge in computers, but yet they do what? They incorporate it. So in that case, you have disconfirmed the TAM theory. So the theory is just a guide that is grounding your work. It gives us an assumption of your expected findings. Okay. So that is the difference between the theoretical review and the conceptual review. You need to understand that the conceptual review is just explanation of the topics you are exploring, explanations of the topics you are exploring. But the theories are the assumptions, scholarly assumptions of the expected findings of your research or the direction of your research. Okay.
Okay,
so
all right. Thank you.
Do you have any confusion or you want to probe further?
Okay, so just a follow-up. So can we safely say that these the theoretical review, conceptual review, and the empirical review fall under the narrative literature review? Would that be correct?
Yes, they fall under the narrative literature review. Okay.
Okay, all right.
So we need to know the difference between the three: conceptual review, theoretical review, and empirical review. Okay, empirical review are just a recap of what people have actually done related to your work. You are conducting the study and you are expecting the findings. We need to go back into the literature and look at what people have. So they are actual studies. They are not explanation of concepts. And that is why Christian said, when we are reviewing empirical studies, we need to see the purpose for which the scholars conducted that study, the instruments they used, okay, the methodology they used to conduct their study, and the findings they had. So empirical studies should have purpose, methodologies they used, and then the findings they had. You don't see this in conceptual and theoretical reviews, because the conceptual reviews are just explanation of concept, while the theoretical reviews are just a review of assumptions, scholarly assumptions about the expected results that you may get. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Seth Igwe. Okay, Willie, you had a question. Okay.
I was asking if the whole of this literature review, are there peculiar sites for them that you can assess them, or you just have to be moving around your topic from site to site?
Okay. You want to know whether there are specific sites for reviewing literature to get articles related to? No, there are not a specific site dedicated for literature review. The connected papers Christian gave you is just a database that retrieves a lot of research from different websites or from different journals. Okay, so you go there and the system will retrieve a lot of papers from different websites and journals. Okay, so that is just a search engine. If you want to, there are so many journals in this world, a lot of them. And each of them has papers, research articles, research that people have. So when you go to Google and you type in, everything will come. But there are certain articles that unless you go to the site or the journal that published that article, you wouldn't see it or you wouldn't get access to them. So simply you can move from site or journal to journal. You can go to Sage and search okay, and to get related papers. But the question is, people search, but they don't find. Why? Because their search term is so broad that they get just a few information. When you want to search something related to your study, please use the keywords. Don't type in the long sentence. Don't type in your research topic. You won't get a lot of information. So if, say, your research is about teachers' attitude or students' attitude towards the study of English in Ghana, you can just go there and then type student attitude, English learning. That's all. You will get a lot of information. So you can do this in, let's say, Taylor and Francis Journal. They have a search engine there. So all studies that were conducted and published in Taylor and Francis concerning English, students' attitude towards English will be retrieved for you. You may not get everything there. You can now go to another journal. Let's assume you want to search something on students' attitude towards inclusive education. You can also go to another journal. Let's say Springer Nature. Springer Nature is also another journal. Then you search, you get a bit of information. So it is not something that you can get automatically at one place. You just need to explore different sites. If you want to just go to Google and then type in students' attitude towards English, you will get a few information. And most of the information you will get may not be genuine. Why? Because Christian said we need to make sure that we get our information from a very a high impact journal. Because some journals, for instance, some journals in, let's say, India, I'm not saying that journals from India are not good, but a lot of Indian journals are not good. They are not of good quality. You can even have journals in Ghana that are very, 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 very nice, right? So you just go to the journal page and then search. So don't think, and then don't use the normal Google search. The least you can do is to search from Google Scholar. So that is it. And you need to minimize your search term. Don't type in the entirety of your research topic, just the keywords. So it's about gender relations, say gender relation in, let's say, Ghana. Gender inequality in Ghana, you search. But if you want to search this, perception of teachers towards inclusive education in maybe Ghana is too long. You won't get it. That is not to say we should also promote searching from wider perspective. For instance, you are doing a study in Ghana. We may not have enough literature in Ghana. So why don't we just search in Africa so that we get the literature from different African countries? We encourage that because the geographical gap is not that wide. Students' attitude towards English in Nigeria might not be so different from students' attitude towards English in Ghana. So that is a bit related. So we should also promote searching from other countries to support our work. Okay. Okay, so let's take the last question from Seth. Okay, Seth.
Thank you very much. Please, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much for the insight. I was a bit late to the party, but I've learned a lot. I just want to know the difference between the conceptual review, as you explained, and then the operational definition of terms. And then if we can get access to the slides that you use for the presentation. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for that question. Operational definition of terms looks like a conceptual review, but it's not a conceptual review. Operational definition of terms is a certain terms that are peculiar to you, the researcher. It is your definition. You are the only person who understands that term. For instance, galamsey. Okay, galamsey is not something everyone knows. Or yes, galamsey is something peculiar to Ghanaians. Okay, it's only Ghanaians who use galamsey. So if you use the term galamsey in your work, you need to define it in the operational definition of terms, because worldwide we know galamsey to be illegal mining. Okay. Another term is dumso. Why dumso? We don't know dumso. So power outages, right? So the original term is power outages. So we expect you to review the concept of power outage in the conceptual review. And when you come to the operational definition of terms, you define what you mean by dumso, because dumso is a term peculiar to Ghanaians. Okay, so that is the difference between the two. So the operational definition of terms is a term that is familiar to you, or a term that you have crafted, or a term that is peculiar to a given community. Okay, so we want everyone to understand. That is why we are defining it in the operational definition of terms. Okay, so Seth, I don't know if you had it.
Yes, please. Thank you very much for the insight. And please, the slides.
Oh, okay, thank you. We will send it to you.
Thank you very much.
Since we are almost done and there are no more hands up, we want to encourage you to join the next week, the session that will be coming next week. We will be discussing the methods, and this is a very important issue you need to join for us to engage in. Okay, so thank you everyone for your time. So, Christian.
I'm here.
Okay, Christian, do you have any other thing to add?
Oh no, you said it all.
Oh, okay. Okay. So thank you for your attention. We expect to see you, or to have you on the meeting next week. Thank you.
Okay, so we thank each and every one of you for joining the meeting. We had a bit of hitch across the line. We apologize and we'll meet in the next meeting. We hope that next week you participate like you participated now. This is a journey, so you need to take each episode very seriously. So we hope to see you next week, same time, same day. Thank you very much.